Good morning, friends and fans, and welcome to the European Road to BlizzCon. I'm so excited to be your host here, welcoming you first to the World of Warcraft Finals. This is for the title. We started with 8 teams yesterday. We whittled it down to 3. Those 3 teams will get the chance to compete at the World Championship at BlizzCon. The 3rd place team won't be here on stage with us, but that is 3 languages, 1 team, so congratulations to them. Of course, though, this match is for not only the title of European champion, but this match is for the prize money of $50,000. And there's a lot of pride on the line as well. It's a little bit of a family squabble. I think the teams are very eager to take the stage. Would you like to meet them? All right. Let's start with Solari Gaming Blue. Now, as I mentioned, this is a bit of a family affair. Representing a team of a similar name, they fought their way through all the qualifiers, they fought their way through the championship yesterday, and now they're here to challenge. It is Solari Gaming Red. This is going to be an epic match. These teams have fought so hard to be here, and they are going to show us some really good games. This is going to be a best of 5, and be sure to stay in touch with us by using the hashtag RTB2015. We'll be checking up on you on Twitter, Facebook, and all social media. And of course, if you want to be specific and chat with us, it's hashtag WowEsports. I am so excited to watch the match, so let's get right into it. And to take us there, we have an excellent group of commentators at the casting desk. Guys, good morning, take it away.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Anna. It is amazing to be back here once again at the O2 Arena in Prague. Of course, my name is Josh Allen, aka Lore, joined once again at the caster desk by Elliot Venzel, aka Venruki, and Jared Colston, aka V-Hell. Guys, Solari Gaming Red, Solari Gaming Blue, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a bunch of exciting matches. Of course, they are under the same guild, so that's why their names are so similar. They actually sent 4 teams to regionals, and now we're down to just the final 2.
Yeah, 3 of those 4 teams made it actually into the top 4. Of course, we do have Solari Gaming Blue, Solari Gaming Red, and 3 languages representing Europe at BlizzCon. Today's match in the finals, Solari Gaming Blue versus Solari Gaming Red, I mean, these guys have already played against each other in the group stages, I believe, and Solari Gaming Red was able to best Solari Gaming Blue in 2-1.
Yeah, we had a lot of exciting matches yesterday, the way that everything shook out. And I believe we're actually taking a look at the brackets here very shortly to go ahead and give a little bit of a recap of what actually happened yesterday. Again, there were so many exciting matches, and there was that sort of precursor to this match of the Solari Gaming Red versus Solari Gaming Blue, which went a little bit differently than I think they were really expecting in the way that actually happened. I don't necessarily think that, even though Solari Gaming Red won that series, I don't necessarily think that they should feel as though this is an automatic win for them. But here we go, taking a look at the brackets from yesterday. Solari Gaming Blue winning 3-0 against Three Languages One team, and then Solari Gaming Red winning 3-1 versus Solari Gaming Yellow. That, of course, knocked those two teams down to the 3rd and 4th place match, which Three Languages One team was able to take with a 3-0 victory. And that just puts us here in the grand finals. Solari Gaming Red, Solari Gaming Blue, facing off for that $50,000 first place prize.
Yeah, and it's going to be an exciting match. Of course, we have seen Solari Gaming Red, when they're coming in, they had to register what characters they were going to use, to make sure that, okay, I need to set up 3 priests, I need to set up 8 rogues, So they are going to be playing both God Comp or Shadow Play with that Holy Paladin. And of course, that is going to be the Frost Mage with the Shadow Priest. That's an excellent combo, especially when those two players have been playing together for a long time. They get that group cohesion. The priest is ready with the Mass Dispels on a moment, and the mage knows that it can burst immediately after that. And they also have brought the Rogue Mage Druid, and the rogue on the team is just absolutely incredible, and he's really going to be setting the pace for those matches, and that's something you can watch. Now, of course, Solari Gaming Blue is going to be bringing that Turbo Cleave, so they are going to have the Warrior and the Enhanced Shaman together, and that is just, they can draw the game out just as long as they want.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. Yesterday we saw Solari Gaming Red, like we said, beat Solari Gaming Blue 2-1, but after talking to Talby, things didn't go as expected, because normally, yesterday we saw Solari Gaming Red really only play that Rogue Mage Druid setup, and they said typically against the Turbo Cleave of Solari Gaming Blue, they lose, but we saw them win instantly yesterday. It was very, very quick. And then the last 2 games, they said they normally beat the LSD 3 setup of Solari Gaming Blue, and those were really, really close games, so things not going as expected, and it was a very close series.
Yeah, now to break down the rules for these matches, of course, we are going to start on the Grand Arena every single time. That is going to be the first map in these best of 5 games that we're playing. We have allowed teams to put that 4th man on their roster this year, though. It's something we really haven't done at Blizzard tournaments before, and I really like how it's playing out this year. That 4th man really adds a little bit of depth to that roster so that they can just round out all the different comps that they need throughout this tournament. Of course, now we're going to start on the Grand Arena, and it's going to be a double blind pick. So the captains have to lock in with the admins the composition and faction that they are going to be playing. And then after that first round, so the enemy team isn't going to know, so you just have to guess basically what the enemy team is going to be running. So once the Grand Arena is over, the losing team gets to decide what the next map is. After that has been decided, the team that won the Grand Arena is told about the map selection, and then they can decide their composition. Finally, the team that lost in the Grand Arena is going to be able to decide their comp, not only based on the map that they just picked, but also they will know what the winning team's comp is going to be. So there's a little bit of mind games involved, especially in the first matchup, and we saw a couple choices made after the first match, which may have, incorrect map decision and stuff throughout the day yesterday. So it's interesting to see. This is something that you would expect these teams already have planned out, but then sometimes it just doesn't work your way.
Yeah, these guys definitely going to have to make the right decision. Like you said, winning that Grand Arena, very, very important. If you are the loser, though, like you said, you do get the map as well as the comp selection, which is a huge advantage in this game. So winning the first game, obviously very important, because that means if the series does go to a 2-2 situation, you have the advantage going into the last game.
Yep. So just to once again break down the prize pool and the way this is all going to work out here, that first place, whoever wins this best of 5 series, will be leaving here with $50,000 coming their way. That is a lot of money on the line for first place. And second place is $20,000. That's a $30,000 difference. Of course, you're guaranteed at least $20,000. So if you're either of these teams, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself. And both teams have already qualified for BlizzCon. So really, it's just all about that cold, hard cash here today. They want that $30,000 extra dollars towards their names as soon as they're done here.
And I kind of like that that this match has been separated from the rest of them, especially where both of these teams know that they've already qualified. They've had all of yesterday, all of the end of last night, rather, to prepare, and this morning. So it's going to let them decide their compositions that they're going to be playing, their strategies, everything involved. And because the prize pool is so big, giving them that time to sit there and think about it, hopefully they're not overthinking it, but it's going to be great for both teams.
I'm sure both these teams have already accomplished what they came here to do. You know, qualifying for BlizzCon is obviously the ultimate goal of all 8 teams that came here. Basically now they're just playing for bragging rights and that $7,500 each.
Yep, and we actually did have an opportunity to talk to both of these teams and get what their thoughts are and have a little bit of an interview session with both of these teams. So let's go ahead and check that out.
Surely the first goal was to qualify to BlizzCon.
We came here to qualify for BlizzCon, and we've qualified for BlizzCon.
Today we played really well, I think. We won 2-0.
We had one of our best matchups in the first 3 games.
Tomorrow there's a big difference between the first prize and the second place.
There's £30,000 or $30,000 on the line here. That's a lot of money.
Now we have one night to sleep, recover energy.
My teammates are speaking a lot about ping pong and swimming right now. And we also need to shower, and we also need to get some nice sleep before tomorrow.
We practice a lot, and we practice recording games. We watch the games together. We study our mistakes, and I think we're a strong team.
I think certainly we will be looking over the VODs of their team and our team, as well as looking at other stuff from their team from previous tournaments. Solari Gaming Blue, we have a great respect for them. We meet them on the ladder constantly, and they're a really tough team. But we feel like our comp has the slight advantage in the matchup. If we can just pull through tomorrow, play as good as we did today. We beat them 2-1 today.
We surely want to win. We'll try our best. We'll play as good as we can.
We're a very inconsistent team. When we play our best, we're one of the best teams in Europe. When we play our worst, we are not one of the best teams in Europe. We beat them 2-1 today. We can beat them tomorrow.
All right, and of course now we are taking a look here at Solari Gaming Blue. They did lose, as I was just saying in that video, they did lose 2-1 to Solari Gaming Red yesterday. But that said, Solari Gaming Red seemed a little bit surprised by that, just because Solari Gaming Blue, both of the compositions that they can play, they play them incredibly well.
Yeah, they definitely do, and we're going to be looking to see if they are going to be playing that turbo this time. And it is really interesting that they kind of struggled against Solari Gaming Red. You know, that matchup normally would go in the turbo's favor, like they said yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to bring out that Lock Shaman Druid comp. Maybe they're going to stick to their guns and go with turbo. We'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. We will have to see what goes on in this matchup. I think it's most likely that we do see that Rogue Mage Druid against the Turbo Cleave. I think that Solari Gaming Blue, I don't think they played their best yesterday. And I think with sort of a level head, you know, they've already qualified for BlizzCon. They're going to be coming here today. A little bit less stress on them. And I think if they play their game right, it's going to be a lot harder for Solari Gaming Red.
Yeah, of course, breaking down the way that these two compositions they have available to them actually play. The Turbo Cleave, which is, it's going to be, generally any healer really works, but the Resto Druid is generally the favorite healer for the Turbo Cleave, along with an Arms or Fury Warrior. I believe Joe Fernandez generally plays Arms, and that, Enhancement Shaman. It really allows them a lot of sustain over time, and allows them to have a lot of extra burst potential as well. Of course, sometimes they can play that LSD3, which basically just swaps the Arms Warrior out for a Warlock, and in that situation they end up with a whole lot of potential spread pressure, a little bit less direct burst potential at that point, but it's also something that can be very good for them. Of course, Solari Gaming Red, as you were saying, did that RMD yesterday, that Rogue Mage Druid. They were playing that absolutely brilliantly through the entire day. That's what got them here to these finals, and that composition can be so tough to deal with because it's basically every 30 seconds, unless you can break up their CC chain, every 30 seconds your healer will just not be able to do anything for such a long period of time. It can be so difficult to actually deal with. Of course, they do also have that Shatter Play composition available as well, which just allows them a whole lot of constant damage going out and allows them to play a little bit more defensively if they really want to as well. So we could see some really, really exciting matches here, especially if they decide to switch up a little bit as the match goes on and maybe go into some of their different compositions. I'm really excited for these matches. I think it's going to be a great finals.
I think both teams are really confident in that main setup. You know, like you said, Talby was saying he wasn't really sure if that would have been the outcome had they played many, many more matches on this. So maybe Solari Gaming Blue was going to take what they saw in those last matches and use it to their advantage, and maybe they can come out on top this time.
Yeah, both these teams exceptionally good, of course, at all the comps they run. And that's one of the cool things about the 4-man format this year is both teams can come in with 2 or 3 really powerful setups, and they can kind of switch it up. As long as they are well practiced with them all, it can be difficult for teams to deal with.
Yeah, so these matches will be getting underway here very, very shortly. We are just now firing up Nagrand Arena, which will be our first map, as Jared was saying earlier. That very first match, always played on Nagrand Arena. It's a very, very well-balanced, just very evenly focused map. Gives a lot of opportunity for either team. Doesn't really have any strong advantages to any individual composition. So it's a great place to start here for these finals. And we will be getting underway here very, very shortly, just as soon as everything is all squared away here in this match.
So this is the grand finals, guys, of the European Road to BlizzCon Championship. $30,000 on the line here today. Let's hear it for these two teams.
All right, now, of course, the big thing to watch in this matchup is going to be Joey Fernandez. He is going to be the one that is going to start setting up the plays. Swapsy is going to be doing using a lot of purges, just constantly tossing out that control. Let's see if we can get these two together. There we go. All right, so that is going to be Solari Gaming Blue on the left, with Solari Gaming Red on the right on your screen. And of course, let's see right out of the gates as they are going to go. It looks like Joey Fernandez is playing a little bit back. They have to break up this opener. It's going to be extremely important.
Yeah, they want to play kind of defensively here at the start, as they are not currently able to see any of the members of Solari Gaming Red. Swapsy getting caught in that sap. At the moment, they're just trying to bait something out here. There's Joe Fernandez actually already using that Blade Storm, just trying to pull someone out of stealth so that they can get someone visible so they can open up on them. But here we go. The cheap shot onto Joe Fernandez, the kidney shot immediately onto Swapsy, following up with the Cyclone onto Joe Fernandez, and there's the deep freeze onto Botar. He could be in a little bit of trouble here. He gets caught into that Ring of Frost. If they have any follow-up CC here, that could end up forcing out some cooldowns, but it actually looks like Solari Blue is doing a great job at the moment. There was an excellent pre-Iron Bark there from Botar before he got caught in that CC, and that's saving so much damage on Solari Blue.
There was a little bit of an overlap, though. The Iron Bark stacked with that Shromal, and now Botar having to Trinket a blind. Swapsy could be in a lot of trouble the next time Raikou is able to get that Deep Sheep onto Botar. Swapsy getting low, though, down to 40% HP. That Iron Bark isn't going to be available. Botar spamming out those Genesis heals onto him, though. Pry also taking a little bit of damage, but he does have that red buff up right now. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to capitalize on it too much. Raikou realizing the kill has been lost for this setup, so just spamming out those polymorphs onto Swapsy and Joe Fernando, trying to prevent some of their incoming damage.
Yeah, you can see Joe just sitting on the back of Pry constantly. He really wants to make sure that if Pry is going to push up, he's going to take some damage for it. Pry getting dangerously low right there, forcing out the Iron Bark. So that's one of the cooldowns that they have to work through, because Talby also has that Heart of the Wild up, which is going to increase his healing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to point out the races that Solari Blue has actually chosen here. Joe Fernandez playing Gnome for that Escape Artist, which will allow him to stick to his targets much more easily. And Swapsy actually playing Draenei. We've seen a lot more Enhancement Shaman doing that. Ooh, Raikou actually gets super low there, going to have to use his first Ice Block of the game. We actually didn't see them focusing Raikou too much yesterday, and that's a really, really interesting change in strategy. Now Pry under a lot of pressure as well. Maybe having to play a little bit defensive here. He's having to spam those feints to make sure he's not taking too much damage. Solari Blue trying their best to turn this back around.
This could be big trouble for Swapsy. There's no Vigilance, no Shromal, and no Iron Bark available. They were able to stop that Deep Sheep, though, onto Botar. Not going to be CC'd up. Going to be able to deny that swap onto Swapsy and keep him up for now. But this is still a little bit of a scary situation. Botar doesn't have his Trinket available for another 30 seconds. Iron Bark will be coming up, though. But I like what Solari Blue is doing. They're using their defensive cooldowns kind of offensively in a way, just making sure this RMD isn't getting any momentum and any pressure, and they're keeping them on the back foot.
Mana-wise, it's about even. Botar has used a little bit more because we saw those bursts coming out from Pry, and his killing spree is going to be coming back up. However, he doesn't have any of the Bandit's Guile up just quite yet. Looks like he's just tossing out some CC onto Botar. Let's see if they can follow. Nope. Looks like they weren't able to get any follow-up CC off of that Kidney. We see also a Cyclone coming out onto Talby. I do believe that was spell reflected.
Yeah, Pry now, once again, seems to be the target of choice here. Even though they did manage to bait that, to get that Ice Block out of Raikou, they're primarily focusing on Pry, but as soon as I say that, they're switching it around over onto Raikou, and this is what can really make a Turbo Cleave so difficult to deal with. When they can make those swaps effectively, it can be very difficult to actually keep up with the damage and make sure you're keeping all three of your teammates alive.
Look at that CC.
Yeah,
across the entire team of Solari Blue. They're going to make sure that they can stay offensive immediately after this crowd control comes out. We do see the Adrenaline Rush coming out out from Pry, tossing out that damage. You can see the flames behind the unit frame that's showing that they're using an offensive cooldown at the time.
Yeah, Pry actually does not have his trinket. He trinketed the last bash, so the next bash Botar throws onto him. They can capitalize onto that. Swapsy getting CC'd up once again by Raikou, Pry trying to build up that damage. Weren't really able to make too much happen with that red buff. Talby getting Swapsy a little bit, having to actually use his trinket there as he got caught into that Stormbolt, having to Ironbark himself running away with that dash as well. Swapsy, Joey Fernandez, and Botar just having so much pressure on the team of Talby, Pry, and Raikou. Talby actually almost completely but that is the full kidney shot onto Swapsy. Does get Vigilance though by Joey Fernando. Not going to be taking that much damage, but that being said, even with the 30% damage reduction, he's still going down to 20% HP. Looks like he's going to catch a huge heal from Botar, get topped off, but Talby caught into that full Stormbolt, down to around 30% HP. He's almost doom, is able to get a huge heal on himself as well, using that Nature Swiftness, the full fear, triple fear coming out from Joey Fernando, who does have that recklessness up, trying to just get out as much pressure as possible, and both teams coming out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, Solari Blue actually seems to have stabilized themselves quite a bit here, and Botar will have his trinket available once again in about 45 seconds. Of course, he does have that Ironbark, but he's getting caught into that Deep Sheep once again, that Deep Freeze into the Polymorph, which is so difficult to actually deal with from the RMD of Solari Red. Swapsy now could be in some trouble here, does not have his trinket available, has to use his Shamanistic Rage, as well as his Spirit Wolves, and the Ironbark comes out as well. So that's a lot of defensive cooldowns now used for Solari Blue. Swapsy could be in trouble if they can keep up this pressure, but the CC has fallen off of Botar entirely. They are just not able to keep him under control.
During that exchange, Raikou actually had to block, as you can see, the hypothermia, which means he had to use his cold snap for that second block. Pry's going to be using Adrenaline Rush again. Looks like he is going to stick to Swapsy. It seems like they're going to make something happen, because look at the mana at both healers.
Yeah, both healers already so low on mana, and we are only 3% into dampening. Now that full blind comes out on a Botar, he's going to trinket that right away, making sure to use his trinket for that extra bit of CC that Solari Red has available. That's a great move to keep that trinket lined up with blind.
Oh no, Pry's actually putting on poisons now. I don't know if he's had poisons on for the start of this game. That is a nightmare. They might have been able to score a kill a little bit earlier on, but finally he was able to get those poisons up. Talby, though, maybe too little too late. Dampening has started. Both healers almost completely but I don't like the situation for the team of Solari Red. Swapsy taking a little bit of damage here, though. He does have that Shaw Maul up, so it's going to be preventing some of that incoming damage. Botar doesn't have his trinket up for almost a minute and a half. He did use that on that full blind, so the next swap onto Swapsy could be very deadly. He will have trinket available. He's going to have to use that right away during that kidney shot.
Yeah, and the second that Botar came out of CC, he dropped the Ironbark onto Swapsy, which is a great move, as he's now caught into that very short kidney shot, but he then immediately trinket out of that, because he wants to get over and get himself away so that he can get some heals. Talby getting a drink. This is huge right now. Botar trying to go for one as well, but he gets caught into the Deep Freeze. How much mana? Talby's still in cap. Wow, back to 50% mana on Talby. This is huge for Solari Red.
Yeah, but Pry might just go down to 10% HP. The bash onto Talby. Has to trinket that, gets a huge heal on Pry. Although he got that drink, he did have to exchange his trinket, and that got dangerously close for Pry right there.
That's such a good move, though, at this point, though. If you have to trade one or two cooldowns to get that much mana back, as we're now 12% into dampening, Botar is running on fumes at this point. Joe Fernandez caught into that cheap shot. They are just trying their best to limit the amount of pressure that Solari Blue can keep up, as Prey is just continuing to take so much damage. He's getting really low again. The Cloak of Shadows comes out. That's not going to do too much. It's only going to limit a little bit of that damage. Talby doing his best, doing work, popping that Heart of the Wild to be able to keep his teammates up as much as possible. We are now 14% into dampening.
And no more evasion is going to be available for Pry. The Ironbark also going down from Talby onto him. Raikou getting a little bit low, though. He does have Icy Veins out, trying to get out some damage and crowd control and take advantage of that. But Botar, Swapsy, and Joey Fernando have been on point with their defensive cooldowns, and it's been so hard for Talby and Raikou and Pry to actually get damage out. Raiku's still hovering around 30% HP right now. Talby tanking in that bear form as he is, taking a bit of damage, able to get out a full clone onto Joy Fernando, stop a bit of his incoming damage. Raikou pulling back in retreat, getting those frost bolts out to stack up those icicles, as well as some procs. Talby still at around 50% HP. Swapsy, though, getting kidney shot, the full deep sheep onto Botar. Swapsy has to get away. He needs to play a little bit defensive, but is he going to be able to? Down to 30% HP. If there's any follow-up onto Botar, this could be very scary for Swapsy. Shawn Wall just coming up, is able to press that, but it might be too little too late. Down to 10% HP, the rallying cry coming in from Joy Fernando. Botar finally out of that crowd control, able to throw out some hots onto Swapsy. The ice block coming out from Raikou as well. He does have another one available once that hypothermia fades. Botar actually no trinket, so Solari Blue in a scary position.
Yeah, that was a lot of cooldowns onto Swapsy there too. Shamanistic Rage, Iron Bark, and that rallying cry, and now with that offensive cyclone.
Oh no, the full clone. That was so that was not good for him. Botar actually got fully CC'd, and the offensive clone came into Swapsy, so that might have actually been their kill. Although he did clone Vigilance, Botar was in a lot of CCs. Caught into that full blind now. Swapsy's still in a lot of trouble. No Strom Wall available. Pry also very, very low. This could be a cross kill. Swapsy's gonna go down. Solari Red going to take this first game. Pry, Raikou, and Talby still in a little bit of trouble though. Joe Fernando on his back, but it looks like they are going to be able to hopefully stabilize.
Talby has no mana though. He's gonna sit on the back of Talby down to half health. Talby's gonna try to get away. They really just need to control him at this point. Let Talby get away, maybe get some drinks off and just seal the game, and that was it. That was their one chance, was to go for Talby, and then once that was shut down, they knew that Mage Rogue combo is just gonna control the Warrior beginning to end.
Yeah, so that will be the first match going to Solari Gaming Red, just deep into dampening at that point too, which is where Turbo Cleave really starts to shine in this composition. So Solari Gaming Red clawing their way back into that after it seemed like it was getting away from them. They were starting to slip quite a bit there. So amazingly well played from Solari Gaming Red. That will put them up 1-0 in this best of 5.
Yeah, but now of course it is going to be Solari Gaming Blue's composition as well as a map selection. I think we're probably, that was such a close game. I think it's unlikely that they switch to their alternate comp LSD3. They're probably going to keep with that turbo, but maybe bring it to a smaller map like a Dalaran Sewers.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's what we're going to see. Exact same comps on Sewers.
Yeah, there was definitely a point there where we were talking about it. There were 3 defensive cooldowns used all at the same time, and I don't necessarily think they needed all 3 of them. There was the Iron Bark, the Shamanistic Rage, and the Rallying Cry coming out. And if they'd had just one of those left available, Swapsy may have actually been able to live through that last little bit of damage there. So in that sort of situation, you have to look at this and say, okay, we maybe could have held on just a little bit longer. It's not necessarily our composition. We just got to sort of brush it off, double back, and come back into this feeling strong in the next matchup. So we will be getting into this next match as soon as possible once these teams have locked in the map and composition. What sort of map do you guys think that they're going to go for here?
I think it's going to be Dalaran Sewers.
Yeah, definitely.
And just to sort of touch on what you said a little bit, I think it's very hard for Solari Gaming Blue. They have so many cooldowns they have to rotate through, and if they mess up any of them, that can spell defeat instantly. And they have to have perfect communication. They can't be overlapping, and if they can do that, I think they can come out on top, but it is very difficult, of course.
Yeah, and they were doing a great job through that entire match, just shutting down the RMD's CC chains. There was so many times that Botar should have been caught in CC for about a bajillion years, and instead he wasn't. He just was able to get away. His team was doing an excellent job of making sure that the RMD never really gets to play to their full advantage.
I will say the most important part of that match, though, was when Talby was able to sit down and drink. The big difference between a turbo versus an RMD, for example, the Rogue and Mage can kind of self-sustain for a little while. Their own defensive cooldowns, positioning, they can toss out crowd control. That lets the Druid sit down and just get as much drinks as you can. Like we said, it did trade the trinket for it, but that moment was so important.
Yeah, getting that mana back, especially once we're starting to get into dampening, it really lets Solari Gaming Red hang on for that much longer. Like we even saw towards the end of that match, both healers were out of mana once again. If Talby had not gotten that drink, he would have been completely so much earlier, and that would have been Solari Blue's game. So making sure to get that and even just interrupt that drink as much as possible is so important.
Yeah, they're going to definitely have to be on top of that. It can be difficult, though, when you do have a rogue and a mage spamming out polymorphs and stuns and gouges stopping you. Meanwhile, the enemy druid is shadow meld and drinking behind a pillar. So the best thing you can do sometimes is just try to get out as much pressure as possible. And they were able to do that. They got Pry very, very low in that situation, and they were at least able to get his trinket out.
They did. If that game went any longer, though, Talby, again, was out of mana at that point. Pry was almost dead. Raikou had no blocks available. So it was a very scary situation. And it's one of those moments that we saw in the past couple games where you can kind of feel the impending doom, we're out of every cooldown, our healer has no mana, we have to use the very last few offensive cooldowns we have to just try to go for a kill, and it worked for them.
Yeah. So as we're just waiting for this game to get ready here, we're kind of expecting them to go to Dalaran Sewers. It's a map that plays so well for the Turbo Cleave, just allowing them lots of opportunities to get out of line of sight, but also the ability to poke back in whenever they want to jump back in there and start doing a whole bunch of pressure. Are there any other particular reasons that Dalaran Sewers makes such a great map for Turbo? Is it just that line of sight ability?
Well, the thing about Rogue, Mage, Druid, Druid, Rogue, and Mage is some of the most evasive classes in the game. Of course, the Mage has blazing speed, as well as Blink. Rogues are permanently sprinting. Druids have Dash, Stampeding Roar, and Displacer Beast. It's easy for them to get away, and on a smaller map, they don't really have as much place to hide, run and hide, so to speak, and it's going to be easier for Swapsy and Joe Fernando to actually reconnect onto them and get out the damage when they need it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I wanted to see more out of Solari Gaming Blue is the times when Joey Fernandez and Swapsy were on the same target. They were chunking down their health over and over, getting dangerously low into execute range, using that ascendance, and Swapsy was doing a great job with that, really kind of softening up the target, doing that damage. If he does get snared or CC'd a little bit, he still has that range available from the ascendance, and plus he's spamming those purges constantly. We just need to see the two of them connect on targets more often, and something like Sewers, they're going to be able to.
Yeah, the big thing that we're looking for Solari Blue to actually score a kill playing Turbo is that getting them down low, and eventually you get into execute range, and that's when Joe Fernandez comes in with that full rage execute and just one-shot somebody, just chops their heads right off. That's how you end up seeing those kills in those situations.
Looks like we were wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong, but kind of right in a sense. I mean, they did take it to a smaller map, so it's not going to be that Dalaran like we were saying, but it is going to be Ruins of Lordaeron that these guys are going to be playing on for this game too.
Yeah, and since the Warlords of Draenor edition of those extra little line of sight blockers off to the side, there's the Tombstone and the Overturned Cart. This still does give a lot of those line of sight opportunities. Basically, you want a very small pillar that you can duck out of for just a second and then get back out and do a little bit more pressure. So I can understand why this might make a better choice in this situation. Or maybe they're just saying, okay, Ruins of Lordaeron is almost as good for us as Sewers, so let's do Ruins now, and then we can fall back on Sewers later when we really, really need it.
Yeah, and we did see near the end of that game, Solari Gaming Blue was targeting down Talby as much as possible, and they were getting a lot of pressure out that way, forcing Talby's Trinket and Barcian pretty much any time they were able to connect onto him. A map like this, a much smaller map, of course, going to be able for him to connect. But we do have the gates opening in 3, 2, 1. Guys, this is round 2 of the grand finals.
All right, let's see if Solari Blue can bounce back. They are down 1-0. This is going to be a best of 5, an important match for Solari Blue to start their comeback if possible. And again, we see Raikou and Pride just trying to find the perfect opener. We constantly see the sap going out onto Swapsy, and we saw a couple Blade Storms that almost stopped the Rogue, but it looks like he's going to hold on to it this time.
Yeah, what Joe Fernando is trying to do is prevent the cheap shot. If he gets cheap shot, he's going to get cycloned out of it. That's the reason he uses that Blade Storm. It looks like he is going to get cheap shot before he's able to get that Blade Storm. So the full clone going out onto him, like I said, the kidney shot on the Swapsy. Botar able to actually use that Vigil as well as a Trinket, but he is going to get offensively cloned up there. The Sheep actually getting reflected by Joe Fernando as well, getting caught into that full fear by Raikou. Raikou actually having to use his Trinket right away. The full Stormbolt onto Talby, though. Pry also taking a lot of damage, getting a huge heal from Talby, just going to be able to top him off very quick. But Solari Red wasn't able to really accomplish too much with that opener.
Yeah, that really wasn't the opener they wanted. We'll see if they can start to turn it around here as Botar does get caught in that deep freeze and then into the polymorph. Now a couple of trinkets have come out. Both Joe Fernandez and Swapsy have used their trinkets. Botar still sitting in that sheep. Swapsy getting pretty low there, has still not used his shamanistic rage, just holding on to that as long as possible. Does pop the ascendance, however. Joe Fernandez using his offensive cooldowns there very briefly as well. Now the shamanistic rage will come out from Swapsy, as it looks like they're actually trying to turn it around onto Raikou and Pry as well, just doing lots of split pressure coming out of Solari Blue.
And I like how Solari Red is just playing that zone defense. They are sitting, waiting for the enemy team to kind of push in. Talby has excellent positioning right now, and Raikou's able to pull back and he's safe with those hots from Talby. That's Stormbolt comes out. Looks like Heart of the Wild was also used from Talby, pumping out that extra healing, but it's on such a long cooldown.
Yeah, Ironbark actually going out on a Swapsy from Botar, so he was able to get that out before he got caught into the sheep. A DR clone going out onto Joe Fernando as well.
Yeah, however, Botar did actually use his trinket there, and I don't know if that means that... I don't actually believe Prize used his blind yet. At least I didn't see it if he did. So that could mean that he does not have it available once that blind comes up. Raikou getting under a lot of pressure here once again, does manage to pop himself away a little bit. And again, Solari Blue just going back and forth, trying to keep Talbi on his toes for this entire time, and that's why Talbi's mana is starting to drain faster than Botar's.
Yeah, the full kidney shot going out on Swapsy once again, baiting that Shram wall. The next setup could be very dangerous, though. No more cooldowns, I don't think, ready to go unless Joe Fernandez has that vigilance up. Raikou getting low, though. The Stormbolt onto Talbi. He has to pull back in full retreat. Talbi going to be able to get some heals on him, but just forced in such a defensive position. Meanwhile, Pry also taking a lot of damage. Talbi's going to have to play catch-up to keep his team up right now, spamming out those Genesis. The Ironbark going out onto Pry. Raikou also back still dangerously low. Pry still taking a lot of damage, even with that feint and that Ironbark up. Joe Fernando and Swapsy able to just do so much damage to him.
As Raikou having to trinket also just a second ago, has one block left, and his Cold Snap is coming up relatively soon because it looks like they are going to use that killing spree onto Swapsy, but excellent play by Botar, keeping him alive right there. Plus the vigilance again.
Yeah, Swapsy actually dipping a little bit low there, does proc that Nature's Guardian just for a second, now caught into that cheap shot. They could be trying to do another setup onto Botar. There's a full kidney shot onto Botar. Are they going to have any follow-up CC out of that? They've been chasing Raikou and Pry around for a while now, and Talbi's doing a great job of keeping them up, but look at the mana cost, or excuse me, the manas at this point. Talbi is getting so low. Botar still sitting at 50%. This is an even better position for Solari Blue than they were in the last game, as long as they can keep this up and prevent Talbi from getting any drinks off. Raikou is getting super low. He's going to have to use that second ice block. He will have another one available by the time that his hypothermia falls off, but that's so important to be able to get that that ice block off, because it does mean that he will not have the second one available once that cold snap is available.
And this is sort of a nightmare for Solari Red. Joe Fernando and Swapsy able to just push in and basically do whatever they want. Botar getting swapped to, though. That is the killing spray, I believe, coming out from Pry. He has that yellow buff up, but he is a little bit overextended right now, only at around 40% HP. Botar having to use, actually he didn't use his Barks in there. He used his Trinket. Barks going to be coming up for him in 10 seconds if he needs it. Raikou, though, getting dangerously low. He does have one more ice block available if he needs it. The DR Bash going out on Talbi. Raikou's trying to kite as best he can, but Swapsy says no way and pops that Ascendance, able to range him down, forcing Raikou into that ice block.
Yeah, and he's being Talbi is being cycloned with Raikou in the ice block. He has to sit through almost the entire block, and look at the damage onto him again. That charge stun comes out. Big heal from Talbi, tops him back up, but it looks like the Bladestorm is going to be used as a gap closer.
Yeah, and Pry actually kidney shotting Botar there, forcing his Barskin. If Raikou, Pry, and Talbi can survive just a little bit longer, they might be able to actually land a kill onto Botar here. Raikou having to play so defensive now. This is their last-ditch effort, the kidney shot onto Botar right now. They might be able to kill him, but no, Raikou is going to get slam dunked by Joy Fernando's, and Solari Gaming Blue is going to tie the series up 1-1.
Yeah, that was exactly what they needed to do there. That was what we were hoping that they were doing in the last match. They managed to be able to shut down the CC chains from the RMD, from Solari Gaming Red, and just keep up that constant pressure, make sure that Talbi has to work for it. And that eventually led to Talbi just not having the mana left, and especially on a more open map like Ruins of Lordaeron, it's so hard to actually get a drink off there.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I did like, it seemed like Talbi at the beginning of the game had that perfect positioning. He was playing the doorways, you know, at the entrance to the starting area. It allowed Raikou to pull back when needed. Pry was doing a great job controlling the enemy team as they pushed in. But it got to that point, and oddly enough, they pushed them almost too far back into the starting area, and which meant that every time that Raikou was able to push up and try to get some crowd control out, he had both the Warrior and the Enhance just on him. We saw a full swap halfway through where the team of Solari Gaming Red actually wanted to get all the way on the other side. You know, they went on that swap onto Botar, and then using that advantage, they just kept the momentum and actually switched onto the entire opposite side of the arena.
Well, when Raikou is pushed so far back and he has to use both his Blink and his Blazing Speed in an attempt to get a Deep Freeze Sheep and get his crowd control out, if he does get attacked by Joe Fernando and Swapsy with no mobility anymore. So he's already used his Blink, he's already used his Blazing Speed, and they're able to connect to him. He's going to take a lot of damage. I mean, mages are fairly tanky, but they still do take a lot of damage from Enhancement Shamans and Warriors. Yeah, and we hadn't been seeing Solari Gaming Blue really going after the mage that much in the previous matches, so this may be it may be a good move for them to start focusing on Raikou a little bit more, but at the same time, now Raikou's going to be a little bit more, like, he's going to want to play a little bit more defensively. He's going to be a little bit more aware of, okay, they may actually try to kill me. I need to have my ice blocks available. I need to be more careful with my positioning. Like you say, not pushing out too far to get those deep sheeps off. So
As awesome as that match was for Solari Gaming Blue, I feel like Solari Gaming Red now, they were maybe caught a little bit off guard there in that last match with them making that hard swap onto Raikou towards the end.
Yeah, and it does look like they are going to pick Tolveron this time. So Solari Gaming Red really wants, like you said, they want to be able to run away. They want to be able to just toss some crowd control out onto both the Shaman and the Warrior, and which allows the not only the Rogue to push up onto Botar if needed, or they can just use it as a retreat.
Yeah, much larger map works out very, very well for the Rogue Mage Druid in this situation. I think it's going to be a lot easier for them to kite Joe Fernandez and Swapsy away whenever they feel as though they need to. But we are tied 1-1 between Solari Blue and Solari Red. Remember, the winner of this series, both teams have already qualified for BlizzCon, but the winner of this series will be going home with $50,000 compared to only $20,000 for, I say only $20,000, like the $20,000, that's still a good chunk of change, but $50,000, that $30,000 difference for first place, that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. $50,000, $20,000, a lot of money for coming out and playing a weekend of video games. Of course, these guys have already qualified for BlizzCon, and so far I don't think we could have asked for better games. Solari Blue and Solari Red doing an excellent job today, really doing their country or their continent proud.
All right, and the gates are about to open right now. Tolveron Arena tied 1-1, and again, this is a best of 5, so we'll have to see which team can win on Tolveron Arena. Is it going to be Solari Red? And this is their map choice. I hope it pays out for them.
Yep. So Solari Blue, once again, just sort of hiding behind the pillar here. Swapsy getting caught into that sap right away. We've seen that every single match. All they're really trying to do at this point is more or less just make their presence known, I suppose, at this point. Like just saying, hey, yep, we're still here. We didn't randomly leave the arena or anything like that. So now they're just sort of patrolling around the outside, looking for a good opportunity to move in. There's the sap onto Swapsy, but the Blade Storm comes out, and that actually immediately pulls Pry out of stealth, and that's actually terrible for Solari Red at this point.
Botar actually used his Ironbark on Joe Fernando there. I'm not sure if that was just a mistake or what was happening. Swapsy caught into a bash, the clone going out onto Joe Fernando. Swapsy taking a lot of damage, having to use that Shaman Wall. Of course, he's not going to have that Ironbark available. Botar using his Trinket as well, so a lot of cooldowns being forced here by Solari Blue. They're trying to respond and get some damage onto Pry, getting him a little bit low, but he's going to be able to retreat a little bit, spam out that feint, and Talby's going to be able to easily top him off.
So it looks like they are going on Raikou a lot more often than in the first matchup. Second match, it definitely paid off for them with Botar taking a bunch of damage in that deep freeze, as he is going to be okay, it looks like, not using too much, but that Vigilance did come out from Joey Fernandez.
Yeah, and Solari Blue has to be really careful right now. They have no Shamanistic Rage for another 23 seconds, and the Ironbark is just now about to become available. But Swapsy caught into that Polymorph for a little while there. Solari Red not quite ready to really push in here. They're going to be looking for their next opportunity to try to set up their CC chain onto Botar. Raikou may be in a little bit of trouble here. He's actually getting kind of low, but he is going to be able to wander away a little bit. Joe Fernandez and Swapsy just continuing to try and move back and forth as much as possible. That Joe Fernandez actually with the fake out standing still, and then nope, he's going to go ahead and heroic leap in and go right onto Pry. Pry taking a lot of damage at the moment. This could be trouble. The Cyclone, though, comes out onto Joe Fernandez, and that's going to shut that push down.
Yeah, Talby has no more defensive cooldowns, no Trinket, no Barshian, no Ironbark. He already has used that Heart of the Wild, so his healing is going to drop off that once that fades. Swapsy, though, having to use that Shaman Wall once again, and now he's in a scary situation. Botar's not going to have his Trinket for around 10 seconds, and Swapsy's not going to have his Shaman Wall at all, so they might be able to capitalize on that. Botar, of course, does have that Nature's Vigil up right now, so his Hots are going to be a little bit stronger. The bash going out onto Pry, trying to capitalize on that, taking a little bit of damage. The Colossus Smash coming out from Joe Fernando onto him, but it looks like he is going to get out of that stun, spam out that feint, and Talby should be able to top him off.
And it looks like Joey Fernandez has been crowd controlled an awful lot this game so far. We see him sitting in those mass entanglements. He's almost pulled completely out of the match many, many times, as again, the cheap shot into Cyclone. We see it over and over in this matchup, and the Warrior damage is something they really, really need at this point.
Yeah, they need to be constantly putting out that pressure like we were saying in the last match, making sure that they open up those opportunities for kills later on. Swapsy maybe in a little bit of trouble here, caught into that kidney shot. He does not have his Shaman Rage just yet. He's getting really low. Just now the Shamanistic Rage becomes available, and he's going to use that right away. Botar caught into that full blind, though. The Shaman Rage might not be enough. Swapsy getting lower and lower. He's got Pry on his tail. He's down at about 15% health, but somehow, some way, still staying alive here. Now the CC has fallen off of Botar, and Swapsy is looking like he's just going to be fine.
Yeah, but Joe Fernando using that rallying cry there, upping Swapsy's HP. It is going to fade, but it doesn't matter at this point. He is able to get topped off. No Shaman available, though. Botar still has no Trinket, so this setup could be very devastating. on Swapsy. The Vigilance, though, coming out from Joe Fernando, and that might be what saves his life. Pry also getting dangerously low right now, hovering at around 30% HP. Talby not in any CC, able to spam out those Rico. Swapsy still in a little bit of trouble. The DR Sap going out onto Botar. He's going to pop that Nature's Vigil as soon as he gets out of that. Swapsy's going to be completely fine, and now Joe Fernando and Swapsy looking to turn around the pressure.
Pretty soon, though, Pry is going to get to that red buff, at which point he'll be doing a massively increased amount of damage. Oh no, but it fell off. He was not able to keep his yellow buff going. Raikou gets so low, has to use his ice block, immediately cold snapping. He will have another ice block available. He actually cancels it to try to keep the pressure going. Swapsy in that kidney shot, the full sheep onto Botar as well. Joe Fernandez caught in that Cyclone, slowing down a lot of that damage. The offensive Cyclone coming out on Swapsy. They overlapped the Shamanistic Rage and the Iron Bark, and that offensive Cyclone just shuts down so much of that. It basically means they wasted those cooldowns.
Raikou's in a lot of trouble, down to 20% HP. The Iron Bark comes out as well as the NS. Whoa. That was Swapsy and Joe Fernando's recklessness as well as Ascendance. That was a scary moment for Raikou. Talby, though, responding beautifully with that Iron Bark as well as that NS, able to top him off quite instantly. Pry, though, still low. The full sheep onto Joe Fernando. Botar getting caught into that full Ring of Frost. Beautiful CC coming out from Talby and Raikou there. Swapsy in a lot of trouble, needing to run. Doesn't have that Chommel up for another 20 seconds. No Iron Bark available. When Botar gets out of the CC, doesn't really have too many cooldowns for him. Swapsy has to kite. He needs to get away. Still taking a lot of damage. Botar out of that CC finally. The red buff killing spree, though, coming in. The NS coming up from Botar, able to keep Swapsy up for now. And they're trying to keep the pressure onto Raikou, stopping those incoming Polymorphs and incoming Frostbolts. Swapsy's able to survive. Iron Bark is going to be up. Botar has his Trinket as well as the Sham Rage. So Swapsy's going to be completely fine for now. They're going to have cooldowns, and they're probably going to be confident to push in and keep the pressure up onto Raikou and Pry.
Yeah, and looking at the mana difference, wow, Talby, as I say that, is he actually drinking right now? His mana is just shooting up. Talby somewhere getting a drink. That was huge. I was just about to say that the mana differential was so massive in this match, but now Talby with that drink is getting so much mana back. He's going to be feeling a lot better right now, and now Swapsy into that offensive Cyclone once again, just denying that Iron Bark, making sure that Botar does not get that little bit of extra security there from that Iron Bark, and now the Deep Freeze coming out onto Botar. Are they going to have the follow-up? And there's the Ring of Frost. Yeah, Swapsy having to use his Trinket now, trying to stay alive as much as he possibly can. He does not have, he's just now used Shamanistic Rage.
Raiku's in a lot of trouble, though, blocking at around 18%. That could have been big trouble if he gets under that 20% mark. Once again, Joe Fernando can just execute and kill him instantly. The bash, though, going out onto Talby. He's also taking a lot of damage. He actually used that Barcia and able to get away with that Displacer Beast as well. Pulled up behind the pillar, able to get some heals on himself, but Raikou and Talby, not many cooldowns left for them. Raikou, of course, does have his Ice Block up in 45 seconds, but is it going to be enough? The Vigilance coming out from Joe Fernando onto the swap, or onto Swapsy during the swap. Botar getting full polymorphed. Swapsy still has that Vigilance up. He's going to be taking 30% less damage. He also has almost full HOTS from Botar, so he should be fine for now, but the damage from Pry and Raikou just so significant. Botar getting fully cloned. Swapsy still in a lot of trouble. He might have to pull back and play defensive. He does have his wall up in 10 seconds, but is it going to be enough? The DR clone coming out onto Botar. Swapsy still low. Rallying cry coming out from Joe Fernando, but it looks like he will go down. And Talby, Pry, and Raikou coming out on their map pick, winning this game. They are still in maybe a little bit of trouble. Joe Fernando and Botar trying to finish off the game 2v3. It usually doesn't happen in World of Warcraft, but I mean, in a game like this, they might as well try.
Yeah, maybe if they were a little bit deeper into dampening, they'd have a little bit better of a shot there, but there we go. They're just going to go ahead and drop out of the game. That is going to be 2-1 now for Solari Gaming Red in this best of 5, with an extremely well played, just sort of almost turning the map around towards the end there. That was their map pick. And it felt like Solari Gaming Blue had actually managed to counter them on that, but no, Solari Gaming Red turning it around, claiming themselves the win.
So far we have seen Solari Gaming Red winning on Nagrand and Tolveron, and we've seen Solari Gaming Blue kind of dominate on Ruins of Lordon, which is their map selection. So I think it's safe to assume they're going to try to bring it to a small map. Dalaran Sewers is most likely here, unless they do some sort of comp swap. I think we're going to see the same matchup on Dalaran Sewers, and they're going to try to take that game on a smaller map.
Do you think it's worth changing your comp at this point when you're down 2-1?
It could be, but I think they have such a strong shot at winning the next round, and I feel
like if they do decide to go with Dalaran Sewers here, Turbo is just so strong on that, and when we did see them winning so convincingly on Ruins earlier, I feel like sticking with the Turbo at this point is probably a good idea, because remember, if they win this next one, then they will have to win on Solari Gaming Red's map and counter comp pick as well to be able to close out the series, because they did lose that first match on the Grand Arena. So if they win this one, they still have another game ahead of them. I think at that point, maybe then it might be worth thinking about doing that comp swap. But right now, personally, I would say Sewers, Turbo Cleave all the way. I think that's their best bet.
And we did actually get confirmation. I believe that it is going to be Dalaran and Sewers like we thought. So bring you to that small map where they already did so well.
Look at how excited this team looks. Solari Gaming Red up 2-1, and especially with that last map, it did go a little back and forth here and there. One great play that we saw was Joey Fernandez was crowd controlled out of the fight just a little while, and it's great that he is playing that gnome because we saw him break all those routes over and over. But Swapsy was able to force the blink from Raikou and immediately was storm bolted, and that was when we were talking about that there could be a point where if Raikou gets down to 20%, it's over.
Yeah, we have gotten confirmation that it will be the same compositions as well. So Dalaran Sewers, Turbo Cleave versus RMD. I think that Solari Gaming Blue should feel fairly confident going into this. Their bigger challenge is going to be if they win this match, they still have to win another one on Solari Red's map pick and counter comp pick as well after that. So we will be getting into this match here very, very shortly to find out what's going on here. Of course, if Solari Red does manage to win this series or this game here on Dalaran Sewers, that will be the entire series for them. That will be the because it's a best of 5. Yep. First to 3 wins the whole thing. So Solari Red, they definitely want to win here. They should be feeling moderately okay because they will have that map choice afterwards if they lose this one. But
the pressure is on for Solari Gaming Blue. I mean, they have to win this one or they're going to lose. Luckily for them, it is their map choice. It is the smaller map where we've seen them do better in at least this series. So I think it's going to be very hard for Solari Red. But both these teams playing amazing here in these grand finals. Like I said, I can't imagine the games being better than this.
This is amazing for a finals.
One of the things that is different about this RMD, and it's because of how the Turbo is playing, is that we're not seeing those incredibly long CC chains on a Botar. Actually, in that last matchup, it was almost surprising when Raikou pushed up, just because of how each of these games have played up until this point. We're not seeing that, the Botar is just crowd controlled completely, and it's because Swapsy and Joey Fernandez are just on top of him constantly. They want to make sure he's not going to be able to land a sheep after deeping Botar. So out of the gates, Joey Fernandez, same thing as before. The teams are just waiting for that opener. We did see an excellent Bladestorm last match pulling Pry out. So let's see if he can do it again, as he is going to sneak up just a little bit. We do see the sap onto Swapsy again, as it looks like the Shroud of Concealment is going to come out. Let's see if they can land this opener, and immediately Joey Fernandez is getting away. That even the healing wave coming out. Okay, there we go. The cheap shot. Let's see if they can get the Cyclone onto it. Looks like they're not going to. Immediately into a sheep though, with the deep sheep onto Botar, as that is going to be a full sheep. Let's see if they can make something happen with this at the start of the game.
Yeah, Solari Red trying their best to pull out some cooldowns. So far, all they've really gotten is the Iron Bark. I believe that's the Ancestral Vigor as well, coming out of Swapsy just to do that little bit of extra healing. Prime might be taking a little bit of extra damage there, a little bit more than he really wanted to, but he's going to be completely fine at the moment. Talby is caught in a very brief stun there from the charge, but otherwise he's going to be just fine. Pry is now completely fine at the moment. So Solari Red, Solari Blue, neither team really taking a very strong advantage in the opener here.
Yeah, really not. Solari Red not able to force too much. Pry getting a little bit low. The regrowth coming up from Talby, though. This is the Vigilance onto Swapsy. He's trying to deny this damage. 30% damage reduction on Swapsy right now. Still taking quite a bit, though. Down to 50% HP. That is the Adrenaline Rush coming up from Pry, as well as the Icy Veins from Raikou. Botar able to sit that Polymorph, though, because of that Vigilance, but it might be too little, too late. Still getting dangerously low. The Rallying Cry coming in. The Bash still onto Botar. He is able to finally get that huge Nature Swiftness heal onto Swapsy and top him off. And a little bit of a greedy play there, but it's going to pay off for them. All they had to use is that Vigilance. Swapsy still having that Shaman Rage available, and now Joe Fernando and Swapsy able to turn around the pressure. Pry down to 40% HP, as well as Raikou. Talby also low, having used that Heart of the Wild to get out some additional healing. He is falling further and further behind, finally able to stabilize just a little bit, but Solari Blue playing very well.
Yeah, even though Swapsy got super low in that last exchange there, it was still really, really good for Solari Blue because they were able to save all those cooldowns, and now the Iron Bark comes out onto Swapsy, as well as that Shamanistic Rage, actually overlapping that quite a bit there. That's maybe a little bit of a mistake, a little bit of miscommunication, possibly, as now Swapsy will not have any of those They basically lost all those cooldowns that they saved by holding on so long in that last exchange. That being said, Solari Blue seems to have stabilized pretty well. The Cyclone now coming out onto Swapsy, just trying to limit the damage onto Pry, because Talby is caught into that Stormbolt. He's trying his best to keep his team up, but the mana differentials are already starting to set in.
Yeah, this is the red buff going to be coming up from Prague very shortly. He's had that yellow for quite some time, but he is getting low, down to 20% HP. He could get executed. He needs to get away. Talby trying desperately to keep him up. The Cloak of Shadows coming out. Gets a huge heal. Swapsy getting spam polymorphed. Raikou doing everything he can to keep Pry up. And that was very well done, but that is the red buff coming out from Pry. This could be very scary for Swapsy. He doesn't have that Charm Rage up for another 7 seconds. The Deep Freeze, as well as a Ring of Frost going out onto Botar. Swapsy getting dangerously low, down to 30% HP. Botar has no trinket available. The Charm Rage coming out as soon as it has come up. The DR Sap coming out as well. Swapsy, though, needs to somehow survive, needs to get away, needs to kite, throw with those heals on himself. He's trying his best. Botar finally out of CC, gets the Iron Bark. Charm Rage comes back up, as well as NS. But Pry, the counter kill onto Pry. Joey Fernando and Swapsy able to turn around onto Pry in such an intense moment, and Solari Blue is able to tie up this grand finals 2-2.
Yeah, and we talked about it before that Solari Gaming Red knows that moment. All right, we are out of cooldowns. We really need to make something happen right now. We saw Pry push up, try to get that kill onto Swapsy, but put himself in a such dangerous position. We saw him running away with 20% health, and like we said, when you're at 20% health against a warrior, the Heroic Leap came in and he just dumped him, and that was it.
We're going to Game 5.
Yeah.
Grand Finals here at the O2 Arena in Prague. Game 5. This is better than anything I could have asked for. This is an amazing grand final so far. These games are so back and forth. Now, it's going to be Solari Red's map pick. Where do you think they're going? The two options remaining are Tiger's Peak and Blade's Edge.
Probably Tiger's Peak, I would say. Maybe Blade's Edge, they might be able to run like we saw in that last map, especially on Tolvaron, and even in Sewers, we saw an excellent disengage from Solari Gaming Red, after Raikou was in a dangerous position, and they just pulled the field out so far. Joey Fernandez and Swapsy just tons of crowd control onto each of them, and it gave them tons of time to breathe. So maybe oh wow. All right, we do have a map pick.
Yep, it is going to be Tiger's Peak.
Yep.
I do agree with this map pick. I think that the strategy you were laying out there makes a whole lot of sense, but they kind of want to play comfortable right now. They don't necessarily want to try anything too crazy. They just want to say, okay, you know what? We've been winning on the bigger maps. Tiger's Peak is a little bit spread out. It's kind of not huge. It's not like a Tolvaron or anything, and not quite as spread out as a Nagrand either, but it still has a decent amount of distance between the two large pillars, and then there's the two side platforms as well. I kind of feel like in this opportunity, in this situation, it does make sense, because there is a very strong possibility if they go for Blade's Edge, then the Turbo Cleave can just live under the bridge the entire time, and that actually makes it very, very difficult.
I think they're going to be able to play on Tiger's Peak just like they did on Nagrand and just like they did on Tolvaron Arena. So to me, this map selection makes a whole bunch of sense, and I don't know. Both these teams have been winning on their preferred maps, so Solari Gaming Blue is going to be in a little bit of trouble this game on this bigger map. They need to maybe close out the game, try something different, maybe switch their target a little bit, but both these teams playing very well. Solari Gaming Blue last game did an excellent job rotating their defensive cooldowns, and that's something they need to do again in this game.
So do you think that Solari Gaming Blue is going to risk the switch to their LSD3?
I don't think so. I think the games have been so close up until this point that both teams are really confident, and they're just going to stick with it.
Yeah, they're just, whoever plays better in this matchup is going to win. Once again, guys, this game determines who wins the grand finals on the European road to BlizzCon. These two teams both going to BlizzCon, but there is $30,000 on the line here, $7,500 for each one of these players. And like I said, these grand finals couldn't have been better. Both these teams playing amazing, and we're at a Game 5 series, so this is intense.
Yeah, this has been an absolutely amazing final so far, and I cannot wait for this final match. It is just now spinning up. We will be going to Tiger's Peak. Solari Red Solari Red and Solari Blue tied at 2-2. Winner of this game, this is game point. Winner of this game gets $50,000.
All right, it is about 30 seconds till the gates open. Do you see any tactical changes from this RMD or from the Turbo?
I think we're going to see the same sort of little mini game. Basically, it's going to be up to Joe Fernando to kind of guess when they want to open and use that Blade Storm. What the Blade Storm does is it immunes him from the cheap shot. If he doesn't use the Blade Storm, he's going to be cheap shot by Pry and then fully cloned by Talby. So if he can use that Blade Storm and deny that initial opener and crowd control on him, he's not going to have to use his trinket. He's going to be able to disrupt the RMD a little bit using that fear as well as that Storm Bolt. But guys, the gates are going to open in 3, 3-2-1. Let's give it up for both of these teams. The final game of the grand finals on Tigers Peak.
All right, and here we go. We're going to, again, watch this opener. Joey Fernandez really needs to guess and hit that Blade Storm and get Pry out of stealth. Looks like they are going to play a little cautiously, exact same time as before. We see the sap onto Swapsy as the opener. The Shroud of Concealment comes out. Give Raikou a little bit of extra breathing room because they want to go for that. And there we go. Now we have the cheap shot coming out with the kidney onto Swapsy, followed by their clone and the deep. Look at that crowd control all over Solari Blue.
That is a textbook opener there for the Rogue Mage Druid of Solari Red. They got exactly what they wanted there. They were able to force out the Shamanistic Rage from Swapsy. And I don't believe the Iron Bark has come out just yet. There's the Ascendance, though, coming from Swapsy, trying to push as much damage as he possibly can here. Prey taking a bit of damage himself, but Talby's going to be able to top him off just fine. I feel like Solari Red should feel pretty good about that opener.
Yeah, they were able to force a lot. They got the Shroud Rage as well as the Iron Bark, like you said. Still, Joey Fernando has that vigilance if he needs it. Pry and Raikou having to pull back in full retreat. They're going to turn around onto Swapsy, who gets caught into that full kidney shot. He's going to trinket that immediately, run away, get back to his healer, but he wants to go back in now that he's stabilized. Pry getting a little bit low. Joe Fernando causing so much pressure onto Pry with that Stormbolt onto Talby. Talby having to use that Heart of the Wild. He needs to catch up on healing here. He wants to keep his team aggressive. Solari Blue pushing in, though. They know they're fine for now. The cheap shot, though, onto Joe Fernando's, and this is the CC chain they want. Swapsy taking a little bit of damage. They weren't able to follow up that CC quite a bit. Actually, the pre-Iron Bar coming out onto Swapsy there, the DR bash on Joe Fernando into a full clone. And like I said, Botar doing an excellent job there with that pre-Iron Bark onto Swapsy. He's going to be taking a little bit less damage. The Vigilance as well coming up from Joe Fernando, so Swapsy not going to be taking too much damage at all. Pry actually using that red buff killing spree into that Vigilance. It isn't going to be too effective, but Swapsy's still getting really, really low. Botar out of that CC, needs to get some healing out as soon as he can. Swapsy getting so low, though. The NS comes out from Botar. Shamanistic Rage being used as well. Botar only has his Trinket left. That's the only thing they have left as a defensive cooldown, and he's going to have to use that perfectly if they want to survive this next swap.
Yeah, and that Nature Swiftness barely did anything either. Swapsy has been, he hasn't been topped off for quite some time. Botar now caught into that deep freeze again. Do they have the follow-up CC with that Ring of Frost? Yes, it does land onto Botar. He's going to Trinket that and try to get back over here.
He's going to get executed by Joe Fernando. He's going to go down, and what an upset. Solari Blue coming in, winning this series 3-2. Excellent job by them. They did lose yesterday to Solari Red, but today they brought their A game and were able to beat this RMD 3-2.
That was a ridiculous amount of damage onto Pry just out of nowhere. Joe Fernandez bringing the heat onto Solari Gaming Red, and that does mean that Solari Gaming Blue are our European Road to BlizzCon champions.
I thought he was just going to rip off his shirt and start flexing that stage. All right. What an exciting match that was, and look at how happy these teams are. Such an upset.
All right, both of these teams just so happy at this point. Look how gracious they're being, shaking this up, shaking hands with each other. Fascinating games out of these guys. This was an amazing finals. I'm so excited to have had the opportunity to be here and cast this along with you guys. These guys, Solari Gaming Red, Solari Gaming Blue, they really put on a show for us here. This was absolutely fantastic. What a great series.
Yeah, I can't imagine a better finals. This has been amazing. Worth coming and traveling all the way to beautiful Prague. It was a pleasure getting to watch these guys play.
All right, and we do have
Join us here. Congratulations one more time, Solari Gaming Blue. Joe Fernandez, it's been a long weekend, and it's been a long road getting here. Not only have you won $50,000, not only are you going to BlizzCon, but you are the official European champion of 2015. How does that feel?
It feels really amazing. We're so glad we won. They put up a really good fight, though. It was really hard for us, but we made it in the end.
You did, absolutely. And as I mentioned, you are the European champion. So to that effect, we have Mark, the senior esports manager from Blizzard. Mark, come join me. He is going to present you your trophy. Guys, hold it high. thank you guys so much for watching. It has been an amazing 2 days. Congratulations one more time, Solari Gaming Blue. Casters, back to you. Tell us your thoughts.
What an amazing series. That was absolutely incredible. Congratulations to Solari Gaming Blue, our European Road to BlizzCon 2015 champions. They will be getting that $50,000 first place prize, and well-deserved. That was an amazing game coming out of them.
Yeah, and of course these guys are going to BlizzCon as well, so they can have an epic rematch there in November, as well as play against some of the other best teams from around the world.
And what a great match to end on, too. Coming out to that 2-2, since it was the best of 5, and then just Pride just dying out of nowhere right at the end.
Yeah, we've had a lot of amazing games and amazing matches over the last couple of days here in Prague, but really, the grand finals was the best of them all. And what more can you ask for? That was an absolutely amazing series. I was just so happy with the way that played out. Of course, Solari Gaming Red coming in second place. They still get that $20,000 prize, which is still a pretty big deal. And they will also be moving on to BlizzCon, where maybe they can get a little bit of revenge against their sister team, Solari Gaming Blue. Of course, they did beat them earlier in the tournament. Solari Gaming Blue getting a little bit of revenge here. Now it's going to be Solari Gaming Red's chance at BlizzCon to get their own sort of comeuppance.
Yeah, definitely a back and forth series. Either team definitely capable of winning, but Solari Game Blue bringing it and the finals. Let's not forget as well that 3 Languages 1 team is our third place team, and they will also be going to BlizzCon. They will have a chance to go up against both these teams as well. And like we said, some of the other best teams in the world.
And I am so excited for BlizzCon now with all these great teams qualifying. Of course, we have had our North American qualifiers, and I do believe the Taiwanese qualifiers are going on right now as we speak. And I do believe the Korean team has been decided also. So we're getting down to it.
Yep, and it is just about time for us to wrap it up here. From the caster desk, I've been Josh Allen, a.k.a. Lord, joined, of course, by Elliot Venzel, a.k.a. Venruki, and Jared Colson, a.k.a. V-Hell. This has been an amazing, amazing day. Do you guys have any last words before we hand it over?
I just thank the players for showing up and giving us incredible matches. It makes our job so much easier when we have these incredible, exciting matches. I love the pace of the game now. These 5-10 minute matches are absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I thought the format of the tournament was amazing. I thought the players were amazing. Beautiful venue. All the people that helped in the backstage. I mean, this was just such a great experience for me. I want to thank both of you for being my co-casters. You guys did an excellent job, and I just think this was a great experience overall. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. This has been an amazing experience. What a beautiful city to have this event in. What an amazing time we've had here. It's been absolutely fantastic. So thank you, both of you guys, for the amazing co-casting experience that I've had. Now we're going to go over to the stage with Rachel and Anna.
Hi guys, I'm here on stage with Rachel Seltzer, please, Querico. And I've been here doing World of Warcraft European Road to BlizzCon all weekend. And we finally conclude we now have a European champion. What's been going on over there at the Hearthstone stage, Rachel?
Well, we have been trying to find our European champion. We already have our 4 qualifiers for BlizzCon. I'm super excited for them. And they all got their plane tickets yesterday. And then I was like, guys, are you ready to determine the champion? And they're like, I guess. But then I was like, it's $10,000 to the winner, and it's the first time we're crowning European champion. And they're like, all right, we're in. So matches should be good today.
Yeah, a little bit of hype there. Who are our finalists for Hearthstone?
We have Nyria from Team Liquid, and we have Tice from Team G2.
Ooh, that's going to be a really good match. Guys, don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on the World of Warcraft stage. Be sure to use the hashtag RTB2015 to stay in touch with us for the rest of the road to BlizzCon. Until then, I am Anna Prosser-Robinson signing off.